Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm a senior partner here at Action Coach in Central Texas. Today, I'm sitting down with Marvin Alleyne, who is the owner of European Kitchen Installation. Going to be sitting down chatting about business, about entrepreneurship, about all this crazy stuff when it comes to the journey of entrepreneurship these days. So first off, thank you for joining me. So excited to be sitting down. Why don't we just start with a little bit of background? Give us kind of the 10,000 foot view of who you are and tell us about the business.
Well, first off, I'd like to say, as you said before, my name is Marvin Allen. I'm actually an immigrant from Georgetown, Guyana, which is in South America. I've been in this country for probably, I don't know, 35 years, for a very long time. I'm originally from New York, but I've moved around a bit, been in Florida, went to Georgia for a little while, and now here in Austin, Texas. And my background really is in the construction industry. About 20 years I've been in the business. And I've come here to Austin and started a kitchen installation brand because it's one of the formidable parts of doing a home that has kind of a beginning to ending aspect where it's one of the most important aspects of the house, and it's where you can really kind of get grounded and leave a lasting impression for homeowners.
Very cool. I love that. So I always like to kind of just start by setting the stage. And I think you may have gone through a little bit of this already, but I always like to just ask, based on the fact that we chat with so many different businesses in so many different growth cycles, stages in their business journey, et cetera. Generally speaking, for you, what is ownership structure look like? Now, I'll frame this up a very specific way. Are you a sole founder? Do you have business partners that you can kind of rely on, that you chat with and kind of build the business together? Is this a business that's, you've taken on outside investment? You've got a board that you report to. Kind of generally speaking, how has that been structured for you?
Well, for me, it's a privately owned structure. The other owner partner is my wife, which I've put her on it because I think it's important to kind of share um, that aspect of ownership, especially with people in your life to that extent, so they can have more of an ownership stake and understand and help you make decisions. But as far as any outside, everything is paid for by me. All of my tools, any investments or anything is my money invested into it, and it kind of it's the best way I would say to go about if you can in my business, a lot of times people, need outside investments for tools and merchandises and vans and stuff like that. But this is all solely mine.
I
My
I love it. I love it. And that gives some good context. So this leads me to probably one of my favorite questions. When you look at your business today, what role do you play? Or maybe how many different hats as the business owner do you have to wear in your business on any given day?
okay. First off, I'm an owner operator. There's a huge difference between owner and owner operator. I'm an owner operator, meaning I always have my hands in every project that I have going on. I like to see the foreseeable, the beginning. I'm the one that goes to the meetings. I'm the one that does the walkthrough with the builder or the homeowner, whoever the case may be, and to hopefully be the last person to go through the punch list to make sure items are done correctly. And also, when I go home at night, I'm the one that looks over the books. I'm the one that does the ordering. I'm the one that does the cleaning, you know. And so, in some stakes, it if you allow your business to grow to the aspect of where you just become a different part, I think it takes on a lot of more of a management role. And it is a management role if you have, trainees, but for the most part, I try to have wear about 3 to 4 hats where I have to go to the meetings, meet the clients, also make sure the inventory is right and make sure that the punches is light. And that's kind of the way I like to keep it.
Fantastic. So, with so many different hats that you get to wear, we'll say get to wear,
Mhm.
are there any that, really stand out to you as, you love these roles or these hats the most? And on the other end of the spectrum, which of those hats as soon as you can give it to somebody else and you don't have to do it anymore, those are going to be the first ones to go.
The first one to go is the business owner aspect of it, the responsibility and the questions and the yes and nos that you have to say, you have to. But as I would rather be an operator. I would rather be the guy in the job that is going through the punch list and doing the work, because that sometimes that guy can say yes to a lot of the things that the business owner can't. As a business owner, you have to watch the bottom line, your time in a job, what you're capable of doing. And as an operator, you kind of have to make sure you go do these things. But in somewhere in between there, someone has to keep track of the money and how it flows. And that's one of the hats that I kind of don't like to wear. I wear it, but I don't like to wear it.
That's a fun one. That's one of those areas I feel like for most people, either you love it or you really don't love it, and there's not
Yeah.
a whole lot in between.
Yeah, there isn't.
So, very cool. It's kind of fun to hear different contexts and kind of where you're at in your business journey. But let's talk a little bit more about the business. Let's talk about what makes it so special. I always like to ask the question of, like, generally, who primarily does your business serve? And the way that I like to frame this up is, if I'm sitting here in the audience and I'm watching this, how do I know that I'd be a really good fit to give you a call, or I might know somebody that I can refer over to you?
Well, the key thing with my business in the general sense is I'm a small but big business, in the sense that my main clientele is builders that will have these are usually spec homes or custom homes. They would already have a design for a kitchen ready to build and ready to be installed. So what they do, they go through the process of design, measurements, and everything. So when they have made the order for the kitchen and it gets delivered, that's when they call me up. They go, hey, we have this very special kitchen. It's this big, it's this whatever. And then they go, here, Marvin, here's the package. We would like to make sure this is installed correctly and to the specifications. Then I go to the blueprint of the builder to make sure it's placed exactly that they require. That's one aspect of a business. The other aspect that I really like is the homeowner that has seen a kitchen online or ordered a kitchen from IKEA or order from, because I don't, it doesn't matter to me, because I know the one thing that's most important is the client. People have dreams and they have desires and they have things they want to accomplish, and that's what makes my business special, is that I don't discriminate between a small project and a big project, because I know at every end of it everyone needs to be satisfied. So I try to make sure that I'm available, and I appreciate anyone that comes to me. I've had homeowners call me, hey, I've had a friend call me, hey, I got a friend that just ordered a kitchen. They don't have anyone to install it. I know it's a Saturday, can you come out and at least swab it out, get a review, let them know what's possible, let them know what we can do. And I love those clients. I love working with homeowners and I love working with builders. So I'm open to anything. And I think that's what makes it special. A lot of times people can't be flexible. And I always remember the bottom line. I've worked from $30 million houses to $200,000 houses. So I know the bottom line is someone wants a product to be placed, to be done, and to be done correctly. So everyone just needs to be treated with respect, and that's what makes me special, because I'm there from start to finish. You can call me back at any time after the project is done to do an adjustment, to do a change, to do something, and I'm going to be there for you.
That is fantastic. So let's talk marketing. Um, I always like to ask a few questions around marketing because it's the area that it's vital to every business. Got to have leads coming in the door, people that you can chat with to be able to make a sale and move on to the next step. But it's
Yeah.
not always the easiest one to navigate, especially in today's environment. What have you found to be successful in marketing, or how do you get the word out about the work that you do and attract the types of clientele that you want to work with?
I think mainly it's marketing is a touchy subject. When I first got here, I did BBB, which is a like a product driven service with a website and all that. Websites work great, but honestly, the one of the best things that work well is kind of word of mouth. It's an old It's an old true substance. And there's Facebook, there's Instagram. Instagram is a very powerful tool in the right hands, but then, we have all this other algorithm and all this other stuff to meet up with. But word of mouth is the best. I mean, if you do a good job for one person, I would, and that one person sees it and tells 10 more people, and that 10 more people tells 10 more people. This is actual data that we can say is formidable and it's good. So I think word of mouth is the best. I don't spend too much money on marketing. I may do an email blast through Instagram every once in a while, but as far as marketing, I don't have a marketing budget where I go out there and I say I'm going to do a billboard or a thing. But what I do is I have a lot of, like, I'm very recognizable in my logo. I have my logo of my shirt, my hat, my jacket, and where I can see people and people can see me and they can be recognized. Brand recognition is very, very important to me. So when I'm on
Very
any job site, I make sure that any one of my guys are, you know, represented correctly.
beautiful. With word of mouth, I always got to ask, do you have a, whether formalized or not, just like a generalized system that, reminds you to say, hey, if you enjoyed the work here, make sure that you let somebody else know, or if you know anybody else that, may need a kitchen installed, give us a call. Do you do anything like that that kind of helps facilitate the growth of that word of mouth?
Yes, yes, of course. And that's another thing about being a business owner. You have to be able to kind of make sure you leave a mark on whoever you come in contact with, as far as, letting them know what your business is. So everyone you do come in contact with, make sure you share your information. And that's the business owner aspect, where you want to go out there and shake hands and say, hey, I'm Marvin, I'm with this is what I do. So I do that quite a lot, especially into any project, into any atmosphere where I feel that it's going to be beneficial.
Excellent. So lessons. What lessons have you learned, as on this journey of business? If you think back on it, do you have a either one or two kind of memorable moments? Roadblocks, hurdles that kind of come to mind, and maybe there's multiple, but one or two that kind of stand out to you more than the others that you were faced with, had to overcome, and has allowed you to become the business owner that you are today.
Um, Number one, and one of the biggest things is you have to accept um, when something doesn't, like a particular job is not for you, a particular environment is not for you. Like we're all not suitable um, to be in every environment. Some environments you may like. I remember, for instance, there's this one project we had here in Austin. I was contacted by the builder because he knew me from New York from doing another project and through another cabinet company, and it was I don't know, a profit margin wise like $250,000. It was a whole entire building. I could have, of course, among the staff, but I went to do the demo kitchen, and the chaos that ensued was I just seen it right off the bat that they weren't organized. They didn't say what they had to say. They weren't being accurate, and so I was like, this is just not something that I need to get myself into. And I think we just need to be honest with ourselves when we approach these situations that everything is not for you. You may have someone say, hey, come by at 2 to look at something. And let's say that maybe 2:05 or 2:10, they're not there. Those kind of things are headway signs for you to be able to be watch out. And I've gotten stiffed in jobs. We've all in this business, you do get stiffed. You do get stiffed. And that's a bad thing. You can easier get stiffed than not follow up with a project. You get a bad name for not following up with a project, but you also get stiffed. And what do you do about that? Now, would you have to do like sue the person? So it's just a thin line. So instead of going through all of that, be more aware of what you're walking into. Have some more conversations, feel comfortable with the client, make sure it's the right fit for you. Or you can give it up. It's never wrong to give up a project. It's not that dire, to
Mm,
just to be money is never the topic of it. The topic of it is can you provide the product and service that you're trying to accomplish. That's the biggest and most important part.
Now, for that kind of self awareness of being able to know that something might not be the right fit, and that's okay. Is that something that kind of has always been natural for you, or did you have to kind of develop that over time?
You kind of have to develop it, and you kind of have to be aware. You have to be mindful. A lot of times in everyday life, we can get squirrel, as I call it, where if you like a dog is walking and he's walking fine, and then he sees a squirrel. He's like, you can always get squirrel into a lot of things when you go into situations. So it's really hard for you to like stay focused on your direction. So if you get squirrel, you got to be able to rebound back, and that's the kind of the mindful aspect of making sure that you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's at every point to be able to be successful, to be able to take it from one level to the next level, and and setting goals are one of the best things to do in business.
I would 100% agree. What has been your approach to goal setting? How do you look at setting goals for the next quarter, the next year, the next 3 to 5 years?
I do. That's exactly what I do. I do like a 4 year goal plan, or sometimes a 5 year goal plan, and I try to not be too aggressive, because I understand consistency is really what determines making your goals. And I said them every 5 years. When I first got here, my business been over for 6 years. I said I wanted to be totally established. I came too often not knowing anyone, and I knocked on every cabinet company that makes cabinets to be able to provide my service. And after a year or two of working by myself, one of my biggest things was to be able to hire someone to be on with me. And then I went from one to like five, and then it was an overload of responsibilities and things. So then I had to bring it back down. And then I said, okay, I want to be able to, be another certain place in by 5 years. And now to the feel I feel comfortable where my business is recognizable here in Austin as for what I do, and my brand. Like people recognize me when I'm just walking around regular, which is awesome. So that's one of my goals. That's my next is now to kind of be able to provide my own cabinet line, as far as building and providing, where I'm not, sourcing materials and stuff from other people. So that's my next 5 year goal set. So, it's and you just have to be patient and kind of just be consistent, but also, like you said, set goals. It works. You have to.
That's fantastic. And I love that you actually answered kind of a question that came to mind, which is what is the next 5 years look like? So excited to kind
Yeah.
of hear that there's the goal of having kind of your own cabinet line, things like that. Do you see your role changing within the business as you kind of look forward out into the next 5 years? Do you're still being kind of total operator? Do you bring on additional team? What does
Um,
that vision look like for you?
Yeah, I think that vision will have to change in order to when you start to transition into being able to have your own line, you would have to then provide more services, and you would have to be able to go and do the designing aspect. So I probably would have to pull someone to help me with the designing aspect. I can do it, but that would then, put another hat on, and I don't want to, stress myself. And then also to be able to sell a job and bid a job, I need still a job being produced. So I will have to have someone else. So hopefully in the near future, there will be, two other people to help kind of, facilitate what my mental and what the growth process is for the business. So, like always understanding where your growth is, and also understanding that, you have to take this process in a slow, manner of being able to get it so you can execute it correctly.
Hmm, I like that. So as we start to wrap up, I want to be respectful of time here. So I want to shift us to a couple rapid fire questions, pull out just really some additional wisdom nuggets for the other
Yeah.
entrepreneurs and business owners out
Hmm.
there. So I got
Yeah.
four of them, four rapid fire questions here in total for us to go through, and then we'll finish off with a couple questions here. Um, when you look at your journey, through coming over to the U.S. to being in New York to coming here to Austin, and just kind of your journey overall, what would you say for you has been your key to success?
Um, being humble, being humble, being consistent. Consistency is kind of the key thing I think that I try to make an anchor in my life. Everything doesn't go smoothly, and we all know that life interjects with everything that we do. Like if you like this, the saying says, you show me your plan and I'll show you something else. So I try to always, at least I know what I can try my best, and then I can start over the next day. So I think I've always been able to just kind of do that. I mean, we all hit pitfalls where we feel, down, but I think just being consistent, it doesn't matter where it is, what's going on, be consistent, be respectful, and stay humble.
Hmm,
And that's been my key. Stay humble, always stay humble.
I like it. If you could give just one piece of advice for their entrepreneurs, you could only give them one. What piece of advice would you give them?
Don't give up. Don't 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 ever give up. Don't give up, and don't think it comes fast. You don't Anything that comes fast it's usually something else tied to it. Go through the process, go through the be patient, and don't get it up. If you really feel that something needs to work, until you feel that it doesn't, you know what I mean, but you have to be consistent and you have to work, like just
Hmm,
keep going, don't give up.
excellent. Book recommendations. What's one book that either you're currently reading or maybe have read most recently that you would recommend to the audience?
I wouldn't say much of my books are usually kind of more recreational as
Hmm.
opposed to, something that really kind of helps me home in. Unfortunately, we are at this age of technology where podcasts kind of have got me like riveted. I may even listen to a book like while I'm working. So it's not really much a book. It's just a lot of podcasts, and there's so much information out there that it's so hard to kind of turn away from this huge cycle of information that you have.
Yeah.
So I'm probably a lot more in podcasts.
Any particular podcast that you enjoy the most?
Um, there's being in the woodworking industry, there is the one that I've been listening to is it's one here in Austin. What's it called? In-house. I think it's called In-house. It's about like a lot of contractors are on it, and they're talking about their experience and work. So it's really a lot about my industry that I really listen to,
Cool.
and some sports stuff.
I love it. That's fantastic. Podcasts are absolutely amazing these days.
Of course it is.
Yeah, just and most of my books are also like audiobooks. So it's like listen to a book, listen to a podcast, listen to a book, listen
Yeah.
to a podcast. Just all it's so much information we can absorb. It's fantastic.
Yes. I know.
Um, so final rapid fire question, then we'll just kind of wrap out with the last questions here. If you had to choose one area in your business, and you only get to choose one, that's the key on this
Mm.
question. You can only choose one area in your business, and you could take some magic dust and sprinkle all over that one spot in the business, and wake up tomorrow, it's 10 times better than it is today. Where would you choose to put that magic dust?
Probably marketing. Probably marketing because marketing will allow people to get an insight to uh, um due to social media, and especially with my Instagram, I share a lot of do's, don'ts, what happens behind the scenes, and I think when you're able to open up marketing for people to have more eyes on what's going on, they can see that everything doesn't happen overnight. It takes a little bit of a process. There may be mistakes, there may be miscalculations, there may be redos. So when you open up this marketing aspect and everyone can see in and pay more attention to what's going on, it's not really about money. It's really about the process of being able to get things done. So
Hmm.
marketing leaded to being able to see what's really, how long it takes, because everyone thinks there's a magic brush that you come in and and then it's done. Kitchen is done, countertop is done, and everything is perfect. And but it's not. So
Oh, it's a good area to put some magic on.
Yeah.
So I do always like to end on one very specific question, but before we get to that, for those that are in the audience that are watching, that want to connect with you, that want to follow the work that you're doing, that want to reach out to you and say, "Hey, I might have a project to do here sometime soon," where can we advise them to go for more information?
Well, there's of course I have a website and Instagram. I try to answer any DMs and stuff that come in. Then my Instagram is at European Kitchen Installation. And my website is, a European kitchen installation. I have pictures of past and future projects and, what's going on about my history. So I'm very easily accessible, and my phone number is there too. So especially for people locally in Austin, you can reach out to me very, very easily for even just a consultation as far as what do you think or whatever. Like I'm open to be able to help in anyone, especially when it comes to homeowners that have a lot of questions that don't have the experience. So European kitchen installation, everywhere you can just punch it in and it'll pop up.
Beautiful. For those that are watching, I will put all of that in the video description below. So make sure you go click the links, check it all out, give them a follow on Instagram, send them a DM, say, "Hey, I saw you on the Business Spotlight. Great conversation." It's always fun to see additional connections, things like that happen from these conversations. So please take the time, go down, do that once we wrap up the conversation here. But Marvin, as we wrap up, I always like to end on this very specific final question, and that is, what is most inspiring to you today?
The most inspiring thing to me today is honestly in the trade aspect that we have going on is the collaboration of people. We're all coming together, to plumbers, electricians, and homeowners and tile guys coming together to provide a product that lasts forever and that people can share and family having dinners in front of what you've created. And I think it's a very respectable thing to be able to kind of come together and do that. And I think we should all be you know, more commended and more happy about, having a trade and being a tradesman. And I think it's a very admirable thing to do. And then,
Hmm.
working with your hands and just being a tradesman and having respect for what you do. I think it should be celebrated.
It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Marvin, I want to say thank you again for taking the time to be here with us, to share your story, to share some knowledge nuggets along the way that you've learned. It's really been a pleasure. And I just want to say thank you again for taking the time.
Thank you. No problem. Welcome. It's all my pleasure.